twins who formed a pack and hunted down and shot a rival gang member in the leg, have been jailed for life. Gunman James Byrnes and his brother Curtis Byrnes travelled in a convoy on electric bikes before locating their target near to a social club and firing 6 bullets at him. It came after a third defendant, Mason Smith, was hit by a car, as well as another incident which saw a volley of shots fired at a drug dealer in the street. One of the Byrnes later jumped out of a bedroom window when the police visited his mum's house. All 3 stood trial at Liverpool Crown Court, accused of attempted murder and possession of a firearm with intent to endanger life in July. The Byrnes were unanimously convicted of these charges and returned to the same court for sentencing, although Smith was cleared of both counts and the lesser offence of wounding with intent. Alex Langhorn told a jury of 7 men and 5 women during the prosecution's opening that the assailants had left the Byrnes' mum's home on Cross He Avenue, Noctorum, Wirral, shortly after 10 p.m. on May the 11th, 2022, looking for someone from the Ford estate, also known as Beechwood. They were said to have found McGraa on Fender Way, where he was seen on CCTV walking beside Beechwood Social Club before 3 men on electric bicycles approached from the same direction. The footage showed now 23-year-old Curtis Byrnes at the front of this group, circling around before Smith, 20, allegedly tried to knock him off his feet. Mr. McGraa then reportedly ran for his life as James Byrnes, also aged 23, fired again and again and again. The victim was struck once to the back of the thigh, with a bullet becoming lodged within his leg, but was able to make a good escape. By the rear of the parade of nearby shops, Mr. Langhorn said the Crown says that these 3 young men set out that night intending to kill. Why else, you may ask? Would they set out with a firearm? Why else would they fire? Not once, not twice, not 3 times, but again and again and again. Jurors heard the shooting came against a background of 2 opposing groups who were involved in the supply of controlled drugs, one located on the Woodchurch estate and one based in Beechwood. The court was told tensions had been rising since at least 2021 and then began to get worse. One incident on September the 7th, 2021, supposedly saw Smith chase down the street on his bike by a red Ford Focus before he was struck and left with numerous broken bones. The vehicle was subsequently found burnt out just to the east of the Ford estate. Then on March the 22nd, 2022, a man called Callum Taylor was shot in the stomach as he allegedly dealt drugs on Hull Road in Woodchurch. CCTV footage showed him being approached by a grey Ford car before he ran off, as a series of 5 bangs were heard, followed by screams. This vehicle was also later torched in an eastern area of Beechwood. Mr. Taylor was described as being a close friend of James Byrnes, with 2 having lived together in New Ferry at one stage. Mr. Langhorn continued, the Crown say that all 3 of these defendants are connected to the Woodchurch organised crime group. McGraa, the man who was to be the target on the 11th of May, is associated with the Ford organised crime group. On the 11th of May, he was in possession of drugs and he was out on the Ford dealing. That was the motive, the Crown suggests, as to why he became targeted. The Byrnes and Smith were said to have been shown on CCTV leaving the address on Cross He Avenue before being captured on nearby Evelyn Close, where James Byrnes, who was labelled as the man in charge, was shown pointing where to go and pointing the way forward. 6 bullet casings were recovered from outside the social club following the shooting. Mr. McGraa was subsequently taken to Arrow Park Hospital with a 1 centimetre entry wound to the back of his thigh. He later underwent surgery in order to remove a bullet which had become lodged within his leg. Police reviewed the CCTV footage from the scene and noticed Mr. McGraa concealing a bag within bushes before the incident. This was found to contain several wraps of cocaine when recovered by officers. Following the incident, the Byrnes and Smith were said to have been caught on camera running back to the property on Crosshay Avenue, having stashed their bikes elsewhere. They were never recovered by Merseyside police. At around 11 p.m. the same evening, Smith and James Byrnes allegedly left their respective homes on Newark Close in Woodchurch and Thornburn Road in New Ferry in a taxi. The defendants then dropped their phone numbers the following day. Smith was subsequently arrested on May the 14th and gave a prepared statement under interview claiming he had no knowledge or involvement in the attack and had not been on the Beechwood estate for at least a year. Curtis Byrnes was detained when PCs attended Crosshay Avenue on May the 19th, being seen in a pair of shorts jumping out of a bedroom window. He then tried to run but was caught after falling and later gave no comment. When interviewed, James Byrnes was quizzed by detectives on July 27th last year but exercised his right to silence throughout. Mr. Langhorn added, "We say, when they set out from Crosshay Avenue just after 10 o'clock, armed with a firearm, they intended not only to endanger Mitchell McGraa's life, but to kill him. This was, we say, a pack from the Woodchurch out hunting someone from the Ford." Trevor Parry Jones, defending Curtis Byrnes, told the court he is described as both immature and susceptible to peer pressure. No doubt his immaturity was not helped by his upbringing being grossly deficient. In his earlier years, he witnessed domestic violence towards his mother. This ended with his father's death. Sadly, his mother failed to step up, and he was left to his own devices, effectively on the street. There was no guidance at all. It is clear to him that he has to leave the area. There is a considerable amount of work to be put into him to take him onto the right track. He will be well into his 30s before there is any consideration of release on parole or licence. There does appear to be some encouragement that James Byrnes' maturity will increase and the risk of his offending will decrease. His childhood was traumatic. His family were made homeless several times. His parents were addicts and unfortunately he was placed into care. He was physically abused and neglected, with child social services noting injuries and burns. He lost his uncle in a car accident and his father was murdered when he was 10 years of age. That was the second loss of a father figure. By that young age, his mental health problems appear to emanate from traumatic childhood. The brothers appeared via video link to HMP Liverpool, with James Byrnes sporting a dark grey puffer coat and Curtis Byrnes wearing a light Monterey tracksuit. Both were handed life imprisonments with minimum terms of 18 years and 8 months. Sentencing Judge Garrett Byrnes said these offences were committed against a background of a long-standing feud between 2 gangs in the Wirral. Those gangs were highly territorial, with one based in Woodchurch and one based on the Ford estate. I am satisfied and sure that this dispute was rooted in gang rivalry over the trade of illegal drugs in this part of the Wirral and beyond. The offences were the latest in a series of retaliatory tit-for-tat incidents of violence, Both gangs were willing to engage in reckless street violence with no regard for the safety of others. Whether he was the intended target or whether the defendants intended to kill any member of a rival gang they happened to come upon is not entirely clear. On any view, Mr. McGraa found himself in the wrong place at the wrong time, even though it was James Byrnes who discharged the firearm. Both defendants were active participants in this attack. It was plain that you were both acting with murderous intent. The background of the gang warfare is a highly aggravating feature in this case. This was a revenge attack, part of a campaign of violence. Although the defendants do have a record of criminal convictions, those do not include any offences involving the use of force or violence. On the other hand, there is no particularly compelling mitigation. I have regard to the defendants' challenging backgrounds. I also have regard to the relatively young age of the defendants. However, any reduction in sentence must be modest due to the defendant's commitment to a criminal lifestyle. This is a very serious offence involving an attempt to shoot and kill another young man, and there are good grounds for believing that you will both be of serious danger to the public that cannot be reliably be assessed at this time. This is one of those exceptional cases where a life sentence should be passed. Please like this video, please comment, and don't forget to subscribe to my crime channel. Thank you.